Pokojirungi kunga erongana porna Yirrkala malana palamomo narkala kappin milurur ngana pordola mala ka japu mangalile madarpa makalwanalmiri jambar pingu kumait marakulo kalpo dapingu wanguri waramiri ngaimil wiretingu malaman primiri jaltunpa.
That's the voice of Dila Yunupingu reading the petition in Yungu. Dila is the daughter of Mungarawi Yunupingu, a senior Gumatj cultural leader and one of the original signatories of the petition.
If you read the text, it's the most mild, inoffensive set of requests rather than demands. It's really just saying, we've found out that you have stolen our land. This is a précis, of course, probably a rough one. We wanted to point out to you that this land is ours. It's always been ours. It's quite important to us. We wonder if you would mind coming and speaking with us before you progress this any further. And perhaps when you come, you could bring an interpreter so that we can be understood.
And when you say bark petitions, what exactly do you mean?
They were presented on 2 sheets from a stringy bark tree. Each one is marked with written text and then painted with pipe clay, charcoal and ochre.
And so when you think that you will have no writing, that's correct. It's not a text-based society, but it's not a society without massive intellectual and philosophical thought. It has the text, but it's in an oral form. In the initial bark petition, it's in written text for those who are not able to read the designs on the bark. It's in 2 written texts. It's in English first and then translated into Yolngu. But surrounding that are the designs that indicate Dua and Yirrkala moieties.
Why are there 2 pieces of bark?
The Yolngu world is balanced in cosmology between 2 essences, Yirrkala and Dua. So all people, places, plants, animals, wind directions, cloud, star, constellations, everything is either Yirrkala or Dua, and the same goes for clans and for land. And so when a petition came from the Yolngu, it had to be one from the Yirrkala aspect of life and one from the Dua aspect of life. That's why there are 2 petitions, but they're identical in text and they're different in the designs on the bark upon which they're mounted because of the differences in that essential sacred identity.
But when the petitions arrived in Canberra, they weren't accepted by the Parliament.
What?
It's my understanding that Paul Hasluck was the Minister for the Interior, declined to table them or opposed their tabling on the basis that his information from the mission hierarchy is that the signatories were unrepresentative of the Yolngu people as a whole.
The initial petition had just 11 signatures, and they were mostly from the young people from the area. But Will told me there's a simple explanation for that.
When you think about it, the mission had come here in 1935, so by 1963 the majority of old people hadn't been schooled in how to talk or read or write in English or even to use a pen. That's not the way Yolngu had communicated. So clearly they weren't in a position to sign in the accepted English way. And that's the only reason that the people who had that skill were put forward to sign on their behalf.
Nevertheless, the document was rejected. The government wanted more signatures from Yolngu elders. It was a huge blow.
It's quite an exercise to prepare these panels of bark and find a typewriter in 1963 and to try and put these words into English and then to translate it into Yolngu and to find a way to get it to Canberra. In those days, there's no road access from here. There's no phones. It's just really by telegram and monthly boat that you can get any communication out of here. And the word came back that the petition were not accepted. But instead of giving up at that point, they created this amazing document.
A document that could be easily understood by the government's system.
And so they can't do what Anglo-Australians do and sign their name, so they've made a mark. Some of them are crosses, some of them are squiggles, there's a backward C, there's a couple of circles, but they also have these red thumbprints on them in what I think is probably red earth pigment. Their name is written out in beautiful cursive, and then that act of signing through a cross and a thumbprint is witnessed by either a literate Yolngu or a missionary with their signature at the end of the row. And there are columns of these names, and these lists of names is a roll call of the leaders of every clan and the leaders of ceremony And it's a beautiful list of amazing people who acted in this way. And it rebutted the claim by the government.
So where did the idea for the list of thumbprints come from?
Perhaps it's a reference to some kind of bookkeeping procedure in mission times to indicate someone's got their rations. I don't know what the circumstance is, but it's not a Yolngu way to indicate identity. It's fitting the system, trying to make the system accept this thing which is pretty firmly founded in that system's processes.
Yeah, looking at the pictures here that are on the IATSIS website, in a way it feels more meaningful.
It's powerful.
It is, it really is.
It's powerful. And the thing is that these people aren't just names to us. These people are heroes, each and every one of them.
The document with the elders' thumbprints is packed away in an archival quality sleeve, in a hard folio box, in a compactus, in the archive of the House of Representatives in the basement at Parliament House.
That beautiful document, the thumbprint petition, was simply folded into the parliamentary records and didn't see the light of day.
But it did have an impact.
There's a lot of people who regard the Bark Petition as being Australia's Magna Carta. If you think at the time that they were created in 1963, it's still a number of years before the referendum allows Aboriginal people to be counted as human in the census. At the point that these men came together, and also women who signed the petition, they were to be regarded as fauna and non-human for the purpose of counting the human population of the continent of Australia, and this was enshrined in the Constitution.
And actually, where the Bark Petitions are now hanging in Parliament House is in the same room as a 13th century copy of the Magna Carta and the Australian Constitution.
You know, the Yolngu have been very honourable and you would think, in a way, naive in granting the benefit of the doubt to Anglo-Australians that they are lawful people, that they have processes, and that these processes are sufficient to protect against the might is right approach. They have generally been let down in that regard.